As the final saga of One Piece unfolds, many characters who have made a profound mark on the story are preparing for their grand returns. Legendary figures like Donquixote Doflamingo, the heavenly demon and former ruler of Dressrosa, Charlotte Katakuri, Big Mom's chief commander, Enel, the self-proclaimed god of Skypiea, and Smoker, the white hunter of the Marines, are all set to play crucial roles in One Piece's final saga. With growing conflicts and new alliances emerging, the return of these characters promises to shake the world's balance and directly impact the future of the pirate era. But these are just a few of the big players expected to come back in One Piece's final saga. Who else might reappear? And what impact will they have on the unfolding story? That's what you'll find out in today's video, packed with theories and info. But don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the sky bell. Join my crew and sail through the One Piece universe with me. Some people on this list, guys, I doubt you ever thought had a chance of coming back. So stick around till the end to find out who they are. The first character expected to return in this final saga is Vice Admiral Smoker. Smoker came back from the time skip as a Vice Admiral, which still held some respect at the time. However, we saw the man get humiliated not once, but 3 times in a single arc. First, he was defeated by Trafalgar Law, who ripped out his heart. Then he took a beating from Vice Admiral Virgo's Black Bamboo, and as a bonus, he was one-sidedly humiliated by Donquixote Doflamingo. After this, our beloved Smokehead practically lost all his credibility, but the man is bound to have his redemption. In Manga chapter 1117, we saw Smoker back on his infamous trike, hinting that he hadn't been using his full strength since the time skip. Another thing worth mentioning is that Oda, the creator of One Piece, has said he dislikes when his characters are called weak, and when it happens, he goes out of his way to bring them back even stronger. And when I say stronger, I have no doubt Smoker will end up with the title of Marine Admiral by the story's end. The argument for this theory is in his nickname, White Hunter, which is Hakuryo in Japanese. By changing one of the kanji in this name, it becomes Hakuryu, meaning white dragon. We know all Marine Admirals have titles combining a color and an animal, so it's highly likely that the Marine's White Hunter will go on to be known as the White Dragon. Now, I believe Smoker could only get the Admiral title after One Piece's story concludes, more specifically, after a final time skip that could show us the world of One Piece after the New Dawn. But even if this doesn't happen anytime soon, I'm very hopeful that Smoker will have his redemption and surprise us with his power level, just as Kobe did when he used his Honesty Impact. With the Smoke Fruit, Smoker could expand his power's reach to create a fully fogged and opaque area where only observation Haki users could navigate. Or he could create such dense smoke that it traps or at least hinders the movement of anyone within his reach. When exactly might Vice Admiral Smoker make his return? Perhaps during the Elbaf Saga? If the Sky Islands receive greater focus, as I believe, a fully clouded environment could be the perfect setting for someone with Smoker's smoke abilities. The second character expected to make a return is the Chief Sweet General of the Big Mom Pirates, Charlotte Katakuri. After Big Mom's downfall a year ago, Whole Cake Island's stronghold was weakened. Given this, it was expected that Blackbeard would seize the opportunity to invade the island in search of the road poneglyph that Big Mom guarded. We even saw fan theories where Katakuri had to defend Whole Cake Island alone against Blackbeard's pirates, but that's not exactly what happened. Former Admiral Aokiji, along with Van Augur, were sent to Whole Cake Island, where they decisively defeated Charlotte Cracker and kidnapped Charlotte Pudding. Should Pudding awaken her third eye powers, she may be able to decipher the poneglyphs for Blackbeard. Additionally, we're unsure if any copy of Big Mom's road poneglyph was stolen, but it's expected that it might have been. In any case, even though we didn't see Charlotte Katakuri serving as the last line of defense for Whole Cake Island, we can imagine he won't let his sister Pudding's abduction go unpunished. With this in mind, it's likely that he'll set out on a mission against Blackbeard's pirates. This means we could still witness a reunion between Luffy and Katakuri, only this time on more equal footing. Continuing our list, the next characters are Marco, Vista, and Jozu, the Whitebeard commanders. Still talking about the Yonko commanders, we have to discuss Whitebeard's commanders. We saw Marco the Phoenix playing a modest role during the Wano Country arc, without stealing much spotlight from the worst generation. Even though Oda had a perfect setup to create an epic fight between Marco and King, he chose to leave that battle to Zoro. But Marco's role in the story isn't over yet. yet. During his conversation with Nekomamushi, Marco expresses a strong desire for revenge against Blackbeard for what he did to his father. So Marco's motivation is still alive, and this might mean he could rally the remaining Whitebeard pirates for one final battle against Blackbeard's crew. This attack could even be driven by an alliance with Edward Weevil, who also seeks revenge on Blackbeard for what happened to his supposed father. Moving along, the next character on our list is Gecko Moria. The return of the former Shichibukai Gecko Moria has been simmering in Oda's mind for a while. We saw Moria invading Hachinosu, seeking vengeance on Teach for what he did to Absalom. So, as you can see, there's quite a crowd wanting revenge on Teach, right? It seems like a gathering of enemies is bound to come after him. We saw Gecko Moria imprisoned, but then released again, and now his whereabouts remain unknown. Personally, I was really hoping that Moria would have a role in the Wano arc, considering his grudge against Emperor Kaido. Moria's dreams and spirit were shattered after his defeat by Kaido, so his help would have been invaluable during the war that led to the former Emperor's downfall. Although we didn't get the highly anticipated Nightmare Luffy transformation, I still hold out hope that we'll see this form once more, but this time with Moria aiding Luffy in his fight against Blackbeard. And if my theory is correct, I bet this new form will be a fusion of Gear 4 and Nightmare Luffy, which I'm calling Nightman Luffy. Another former Shichibukai to discuss is the celestial demon Donquixote Doflamingo. I don't think it's a coincidence that Oda made Doflamingo the villain with the most appearances after his defeat, even though he's been out of the spotlight. With every major event happening in the world of One Piece, Oda makes a point to remind us that Doflamingo is still alive. Many people have speculated about a possible new escape from Impel Down, and if that does happen, we could see him joining forces with Mihawk, Crocodile, and Buggy, and maybe even Gecko Moria in the Cross Guild, bringing together much of the pirate crew that made up the Shichibukai. But when might this escape actually occur? Oda's already given us a hint. With sea levels continuing to rise, there's been talk of transferring Impel Down prisoners to a safer place. If that happens, it could be the perfect moment for another prison break from Impel Down. This would mean not only Doflamingo's return, but also Bon Clay, who became the queen of level 5.5 of Impel Down, and even Edward Weevil, who was imprisoned after being defeated by Admiral Aramaki. I wouldn't be surprised if Doflamingo and Edward Weevil's involvement after their escape takes place on the Holy Land of Mary Geoise, Weevil seeking revenge on Blackbeard, who aims to become the king of the world, while Doflamingo himself also harbors ambitions of world dominance. But beyond that, Doflamingo's return might be tied to revealing the identity of Mary Geoise's national treasure to the world, which I believe to be Imu. Speaking of Imu, the next character with plenty left to reveal is the former god of Skypiea, Enel. Enel is someone who shares a lot of similarities with both Imu and Joy Boy in his behavior. It's as if the legacy of the Void Century has been passed down through generations among the Sky People to the point that these stories became distorted. Want an example? Have you ever thought about why Enel has this god complex? In my opinion, it's not just because he gained power that made him nearly invincible, but also because the Thunder Fruit's powers bear a slight resemblance to the Nika fruit. According to the legends of Nika, this god could manipulate lightning with his hands, as we saw Luffy do in the Wano arc. So, the notion that Nika wielded this power could have led Enel to believe he himself was this god once he acquired the Thunder Fruit. After all, this gave him the ability to control lightning as well. This could explain the massive god complex he developed. There are even more connections. Enel activates his powers by hitting the drums strapped to his back, much like how Luffy's powers activate with the drums of liberation. Enel was also revived after dying in battle, much like Luffy when he awakened his Devil Fruit. His pose is strikingly similar to Gear 4 in his Amaru form. His high go technique causes destruction, similar to that of the ancient weapon Uranus. His plan to create an ark and bring a chosen people to the promised land on the moon mirrors. Joy Boy's plan to use the Noah Ark to bring the fishmen to the ocean's surface, or perhaps to a land even higher above the red line. In short, the parallels are undeniable, and because of that, Enel is a character with enormous potential for helping us understand the Void Century. But of course, Enel fell victim to what we could call broken telephone syndrome, which left him with a distorted view of Joy Boy and the sun god Nika during the Skypiea arc. Okay, Bruno, you've convinced me, but what would bring Enel down from the moon back to Earth? My current favorite theory is that Dr. Vegapunk's broadcast reached not only the entire world, but maybe even the moon. Or, being even bolder, Enel's mantra could be so refined that he managed to pick up Vegapunk's transmission with his observation haki. For me, that would be more than enough to bring Enel back with his army of robots, now upgraded like never before, to join the race for the world's throne. Returning to Wano, two other characters who will likely have a role in the story are Yamato and Momonosuke. We know that Caribou intends to leak the location of the ancient weapon Pluton to Blackbeard, who would surely make good use of that information. We also know that Momo has no intention of awakening the Pluton weapon or opening Wano's borders anytime soon. But with the story now in its final saga, someone needs to bring this weapon into play, and that someone might just be Blackbeard. With Blackbeard invading Wano, we'll see a showdown where the Red Scabbards and, most importantly, Yamato and Momo will need to defend the country's borders, resulting in a colossal clash of titans. In fact, it's highly likely that Yamato's cover story could be a prelude to this great conflict. Now, what can we expect from this clash? Imagine San Juan Wolf wielding Onegashima's sword, Avalo Pizarro taking control of Onegashima itself, and, on the other side, perhaps the awakening of Momonosuke's Devil Fruit. The Wano arc ended without confirming whether Kaido managed to awaken his Devil Fruit, and I can categorically say that he didn't. Kaido may have understood Devil Fruit awakenings in theory, but by his own definition, I doubt he achieved it in practice. According to Kaido, awakening occurs when the powers of your Devil Fruit are aligned with your body and mind. In other words, an evolved body and mind in harmony with the fruit's powers are what enable you to reach awakening. In Momonosuke's case, he acquired an evolved body when Shinobu aged him, but his mind remained weak and immature. However, this could change when Momo has to fight to protect his country once again. Momo's fruit is based on the legend of the Blue Dragon, representing benevolence and protection, two qualities Kaido lacked. That's why he was never able to align his mind with his Devil Fruit's powers, and thus could never achieve awakening. On the other hand, Momo has built a strong, mature body, and has a mind aligned with the concepts of protection and benevolence present in his fruit. He has everything he needs to awaken his Devil Fruit against Blackbeard's pirates. And speaking of characters who still have more to offer in One Piece, I couldn't overlook the former Empress Charlotte Linlin. Here are all the reasons supporting her return. The first and most irrefutable reason is that Zeus is still alive with Nami. When we look back at the Elbaf flashback, Mother Carmel had a homie named Pandora. After Carmel was supposedly devoured by Big Mom, her homie disappeared, suggesting it was destroyed with its master. On the other hand, this didn't happen with Big Mom, as Zeus remains alive to this day, implying Big Mom might still be alive too. There are also some interesting lines worth mentioning. During the end of the Wano battle, we saw Big Mom state that she would never die from an attack like the one she took from Trafalgar Law and Eustace Kid. In the whole Cake Island arc, Luffy promised to return to defeat Big Mom after dealing with Kaido, a promise Oda may not have forgotten. However, perhaps the most important line came from Big Mom's daughter, Pudding. After being captured by Blackbeard's pirates, Pudding states that if Mama were alive, those weaklings wouldn't be boasting about capturing her. However, this line can also be translated as if Mama is alive, those weaklings wouldn't be talking like that. This is because the verb used in Japanese can be interpreted in both ways. If Oda intended this ambiguity, which I believe he did, it means Pudding still holds out hope that her mother might be alive. There's also the life debt Kaido owed to Big Mom, a debt she constantly reminded him of, which is another unresolved detail in the story. The most logical line of thought would be Big Mom extracting the remainder of Kaido's soul and life to heal her own body. Note how Oda made the two fall into the magma chamber very specifically, right next to each other, likely to facilitate Big Mom's ability to do this. In this way, she could finally settle Kaido's outstanding debt. Perhaps that eruption we saw in the final chapters of the Wano arc hints that both Big Mom and Kaido were expelled back to the surface, preventing them from drowning in the magma. And not only that, Big Mom's pirates, who were entirely forgotten at the end of the Wano arc, might still be able to rescue their captain, Charlotte Linlin. In other words, their only narrative purpose for being in Wano would be to retrieve Big Mom after all the conflict. In the end, Big Mom would return to be part of the Elbaf arc, where she'd have her promised showdown with Luffy, and most importantly, confront the past she's never reconciled, returning to the place where she grew up, and facing the memories of the orphanage children she devoured, including Mother Carmel. Going even further, I wouldn't be surprised if Big Mom absorbed Kaido's soul and life to animate the ancient weapon Pluton, turning it into her homie, similar to how she brought life to her own ship, the Queen Mama Chanter. At the very least, she could place Kaido's soul within Onigashima Island itself. After all, Kaido is of Oni blood, so it would be a deeply poetic moment for his soul to inhabit the skull of an ancestor of his own race. This could even foreshadow the anime's opening sequence, where the Onigashima skull springs to life for some reason. So, whether Avalo Pizarro uses his fruit to absorb the island, or Big Mom gives it life with Kaido's soul, Oda, you have everything you need to make this happen, and I trust you'll make the right choice. Continuing our list, let's talk about Eustace Kid and Trafalgar Law. We saw Kid utterly obliterated by Shanks, defeated with a single blow, and his ship completely destroyed by the giants Dory and Brogy. Many fans fans hope to see Kid wash up on some beach in Wano, and I'll admit, it's just the kind of twist Oda would do. However, I don't see any narrative purpose for Kid's return. Personally, he could stay dead or simply disappear from the manga forever. On the other hand, although Trafalgar Law was also defeated by Blackbeard and had his submarine destroyed, we saw Beppo manage to save him and escape with his body after the battle, hinting that all might not be lost for the Surgeon of Death. As we know, Law is a D-clan member and possesses the so-called Ultimate Devil Fruit, which appears to have been used in the past to grant Imu immortality via the perennial youth surgery, and possibly allowed Imu to possess Nefertari Lily's body through a body swap technique. In other words, Law still holds considerable relevance for the conflict against the world government, especially in the battle against Imu. For this reason, he deserves a spot back in the spotlight. And with that, we conclude our list of characters who still have a significant role to play in the final stretch of One Piece. Heroes like Monkey D. Garp, Dracul Mihawk, Admiral Kizaru, and Monkey D. Dragon are sure to have their moments as well. But in this video, I wanted to focus on those who've already had their big arcs, but are still likely to return in a major way in the main storyline. Alright, this video is packed with insane theories, and now I want to read your thoughts and theories in the comments. If you made it to the end, enjoyed the video, and haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to like and check your subscription below to stay updated on upcoming videos. See you next time.